Boop! Happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. Today's daily Bible readings come to us from Psalm 17, Job 1, 1 through 22, and Luke 21, 34 through 22, 6. And I'm going to look at the text from Luke and talk about intemperate living and how you should be aware of that and how it can, distract you and you get caught unaware like a trap's been sprung on you by the arrival of the kingdom, is what Jesus is talking about here in Luke. He warns us, he says, be on guard so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life. And the worries of this life, and that day catch you unexpectedly like a trap. For it will come upon all who live on the face of the whole earth. Be alert at all times. That day is the day of the Lord, the day when the kingdom really comes in its fullness, or when it appears. And so Jesus is warning us there's a lot of things that can distract you from having that be your focus, and so that you get so tied up and caught up in them that you're not even paying attention. And the kingdom of God just is there, and you've not been preparing for it, and you're not even maybe even aware that it's come. And so the word here that gets translated dissipation is a Greek word, and I'm not going to bother you with me trying to pronounce the Greek word, but it's pretty faithfully rendered as dissipation. But that's not a word we use a lot. What does that mean? Usually, when you think about something being dissipated, you think of, like, say you got smoke or steam in a room, and you throw the window open, and the smoke or steam dissipates. Dissipation, in the way we're talking about it here, is the idea of let's more like wasteful expenditure. Let's think about it that way in financial terms. Um, but that's probably a good way to go, because it's this idea of you've you've dissipated your energies on intemperance, right? On dissolute living, where you like the prodigal son, right? Wasted in dissolute living. It's self-indulgence. In other words, it's you've dissipated all your energies that should have and could have been directed towards cultivating your relationship with God, to just indulging your desires and your selfishness, right? That's what intemperance is about. You to be temperate is to keep things in right order. To be intemperate is to not do that. And sadly enough, sometimes we can look like we're being really temperate and like really directed towards the church, but it's completely intemperate, because we're just about kind of stroking our own egos, things like that. And so, for instance, if everything of your focus is like what the next cool thing is, or the next novel thing, or the next thing that's going to bring you the most comfort, and you put all your focus and energy on that, that's intemperate, right? So that actually leads to the next thing Jesus is saying, about where he talks about the worries of this life. And the Greek word there, actually, if you look like in an interlinear Greek, it gets translated as anxieties. So the anxieties of this life, or the anxieties of this world. And that's probably a good way to think about it, because anxieties eat up our energies, right? They dissipate our energies in such a way that that we can't really focus on anything else. And he says that because you've done this, the day will catch you unexpectedly, the day of the Lord. We can become so involved with our own self-centeredness and our dwelling on the struggles of this life that we aren't really paying attention. And yeah, the anxieties of this life, we automatically go to like the big things, the big anxieties of this world, like global pandemics and global warfare, things like that, which, yeah, those are big distractions. Those are big things that cause anxieties. Those are big things that cause worry. But going back to the first part of this idea of like dissipation and drunkenness, it's also the daily little anxieties of things that we worry about. Even just the pedestrian things, like, what am I going to wear, or what am I going to eat, or what am I going to drink? We've heard about that before. We've heard Jesus talk about that before. Like, consider the lilies, right? They don't sow, they don't spin, they don't worry about what they're going to wear, but the Lord dresses them, right? So we can get so caught up in the intemperance of worrying about all those things. What's the most fashionable thing? What's the most novel thing? Am I going to go over here because that's where all the cool kids are? Or like, even like, I'll go over there because all the cool kids, are going to that church. And I'll look cool too. Those are things that dissipate us instead of helping us to focus on God and follow Christ and prepare ourselves for when his kingdom comes in the fullness. We get caught up in these fleeting daily anxieties and we forget the eternal point of it all, so that we never really see the kingdom coming, even though we might pray for it every Sunday. Anyway, that's the DBR. Get out and enjoy the day. We'll be back tomorrow. See you later. Boop.